Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to Keep Her Quick, your latest local news and weather, commercial free in about 22 minutes or less. We're going to jump right into weather because, Jefferson, we saw some pretty dense fog this morning, but we also saw some cool temperatures, so things could have gotten a little slick out there. Yeah,
freezing fog in the area this morning certainly was a problem. Now, as we go into the afternoon, we will be looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies. Weather conditions today will be calm, and we can say a similar story will be taking place tomorrow with fog in the morning and then some clouds in the afternoon, but otherwise calm weather conditions for Saturday. Shower chances are going to ramp up as we do head through Sunday. Many of us staying dry on Sunday, but again, maybe a slim chance of showers for everybody. And then as we get towards Thanksgiving week, namely the actual Thanksgiving holiday, we are going to have some more active weather arriving to our forecast area. We'll touch on all three of these weather headlines in more depth coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Sunnyside. 2 people have been robbed and left with serious injuries. According to authorities, it happened at about 4:30 a.m. Wednesday. The Sheriff's Department was notified of a stabbing and a robbery near the intersection of Belle and Cemetery Roads. According to the victims' statements, the suspect cut them off in their vehicle and demanded money with a knife in hand. The victims complied, but they were still stabbed several times. Both ended up in the hospital. The woman with minor injuries, the man with lacerations to his arm, face, and head. Now, police did find a suspect who is currently booked into the Yakima County Jail on 2 counts each of robbery and assault. A Richland man could be heading to prison for life for sex crimes against children. 36-year-old Scott Lee Phelps was accused of indecent exposure in front of children and was arrested in late February. Earlier this month, he was sentenced to 130 months to life in prison in Benton County Superior Court for first-degree child molestation, where at least 2 children were involved, both under the age of 13. He was also found guilty of indecent exposure, communicating with a minor for immoral purposes, and possession of depictions of minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. After Phelps has served the 130 months, a review board will make a decision about whether he'll remain in prison or be released. A Kittitas man was arrested late last week after attacking a sheriff's deputy. This after he was arrested for running around downtown Kittitas with a sword the previous weekend. Now, Dustin Lee Geraldine was arrested in the early hours of Friday the 14th. The woman told deputies she saw him in her driveway and said later he tried to break into her home. When deputies arrived, they found Geraldine lying in the yard. He then began to resist when a deputy tried to grab his arm, and then he hit the officer in the chest and grabbed the badge off the officer's vest. Geraldine was then tased and arrested. His trial is set to begin on January 5th. Over to the courtroom this morning, a verdict has come down in the trial of the man accused of stabbing a Pasco school bus driver to death in front of students more than 4 years ago. Now, the man found guilty despite his claims of insanity. Richard L. Lenhart was 72 years old when Joshua Davis, 32 years old, boarded his bus full of children and stabbed him to death. For the last 2 weeks, jurors heard testimony from witnesses and experts about what happened and Davis's mental state at the time.
The state's doctor is going to tell you that he could tell right from wrong, and that he was able to perceive the nature and quality of his acts.
Now, the jurors found Davis guilty of murder in the first degree with premeditation. A hearing to determine Davis's sentence has yet to be scheduled, but it's expected to take place sometime in the coming weeks. Firefighters think they now know how a fire started yesterday morning at a local high school. Benton County Fire District 2 arrived at Kione Benton High at around 10:50 a.m. after getting reports that a wood shop at the school was on fire. Crews were able to quickly put out the blaze, resulting in no injuries and allowing students to safely return to class.
Undetermined where the fire started so far. However, the crews contained it and kept it to the dust collection system of the shop. Wood shop portion of the class, and then this building is detached from the main building, so we're pretty isolated as far as how the fire was contained.
Now, in a post late yesterday, Assistant Chief Dormeyer said that it was an ember that got lodged in a dust collection system that started that fire. Switching gears to some agriculture news, drought persists in our area and continues to impact agriculture across the region, even as the growing season comes to an end. But with the 4th year of drought becoming increasingly likely, Keeper's Jake Stevenson tells us one crop is especially drought resistant.
Behind me is the Prosser Dam, which holds back water for farms and industry across the region. But
the Yakima Basin has just experienced 3 years in a row of drought conditions and is potentially going into a 4th year of drought conditions come next spring and summer.
Drought has made water more scarce and is going to make agriculture increasingly more difficult as water becomes more expensive. We hear now from an industry that is particularly resilient to the impacts of drought, namely potatoes.
So we are actually very lucky in our potato industry here in the Columbia Basin area. A lot of our irrigation comes from the Columbia River, and we only use about 2 to 3% of the Columbia River for irrigation purposes.
Washington State has also teamed up with Oregon and Idaho in a group called the Tri-State Research Consortium, with the aim of developing new varieties of potatoes. One of the prime products of this group is the new Clearwater potato.
They also are constantly developing new varieties that can be a little more drought tolerant and use less water. For example, I mentioned the Clearwater earlier. That's a potato that doesn't need as much water to grow. It's a little more heat tolerant. So we have been very lucky in this region to not have to worry about the droughts that other areas and other states have had to worry about.
Despite all of these advantages, the potato industry is not rock solid. Labor shortages plague its farmers just as with other agricultural industries. For the time being, though, potato farmers can rest easy knowing their humble spuds are prepared for when the next year of drought arrives. In Prosser, for Action News, I'm Jake Stevenson.
KEPR's Jake Stevenson, thank you. Potatoes have increasingly become one of Washington's most important agricultural exports. In the coming weeks, we'll be talking to local potato farmers on how they're adapting to new technology. Heading over to Yakima because the Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue Unit has appointed a new lead coordinator. Renee Navarrete has been with the Search and Rescue Unit for several years now and would like to use her new role as an opportunity to expand and support the team.
And I think what I'd like to do in the future is try to support the team better. So we have individualized units within SAR, but there's a new one that I'd like to make called Rescue Support, which is supporting the rescuers. So anything from baking and hospitality to letting their dogs out when they're on a mission, boring admin stuff, and helping the radio people out in the radio room while we're on a mission. I think if we support the team and everybody feels heard and valued, then we can serve the community better.
Navarrete started her career in the unit working with the Technical Rescue Group. Yakima Nation tribal members gathered outside the Yakima Agency in Toppenish in protest against current leadership. KIMA's Aiden Connor spoke with protesters on site and reports they're raising concerns regarding financial stability and recent cuts within their enterprises.
Some tribal members in the Yakima Nation are not pleased with current administration.
They've been doing our members wrong for the last several years or more. And our members are getting tired of it, and we want change.
Members are concerned about the financial stability of the tribe, as well as the relationships with their enterprises.
Unfortunately, the current administration and elected officials are not working on behalf of us, the people. So that's the main reason for this protest, is we want them to understand that they work for us, the people, not themselves, which is exactly what they've been doing during their current terms.
Protesters told me that administration recently made cuts to elder checks, education checks, and staff cuts to some of the tribe's enterprises.
We're a resolution tribe, we're a treaty tribe, and they're not abiding by our mandates that our people pass during our annual general council every November. There's many resolutions that are in place that they've been ignoring, and they're not bringing matters of great importance back to us, the people, that they don't have the power to approve without our approval.
One of the leaders of the protests, Regina Jerry, says that the tribal members do not feel heard by their leadership.
For the last 3 years, they haven't listened to any of the petitions and our concerns, and we haven't gotten a response. So they're the top of the leader, and they're not doing their jobs.
She says that leadership is working on their own terms, and that new leadership would be beneficial.
I'd like to say the honeymoon is over. Because if we get new leaders elected in, we're hoping that the change will begin there. And we have so many few that are the only ones that are benefiting.
Aiden Connor, thank you. A Davis High School alumni is giving back to the community through the Yakima Warmth Project. The goal is to collect winter clothes for students at Barge Lincoln Elementary and Washington Middle School. 9 local businesses have volunteered to be drop-off locations, and the desired clothes include gloves, jackets, snow boots, or small throw blankets. We caught up with Carolina Herrera, the creator of the project, and she explained the passion behind it.
It's pretty much something that just came to me, honestly, one night. It was something I was discussing with my mom, and I was like, I want to do something to, give back to my community, because I was born and raised in Yakima. I know there's people who could be skeptical to be like, are you going to use the money for the right reasons? So then I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the Amazon registry. And so I started that, and we did have people 18 orders already.
Now, they'll be collecting winter clothes until December 5th. All of the information on drop-off locations and how to donate are up on our website and Facebook page. With that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan. Jefferson, they're looking for winter clothes for kids in that story there. But,
sure.
A lot of folks are going to want to think about winter clothes. Now, especially since we're starting to see temperatures get so low enough, this fog is freezing, too.
Yeah, cold temperatures and foggy conditions. You really want to be dressing warm in the mornings. It's just that time of year. Now, to your point, Dave, many of us this morning have been looking at below freezing temperatures, I should say, upper 20s to low 30s around the forecast area. And we've also been seeing some pretty dense fog at times, very dense fog in the Tri-Cities, very dense fog in the Hermiston area, and seeing very dense fog in the Ellensburg and Moses Lake areas too. Now, the reason I highlight the fog that we are seeing is we could see a similar story playing out tomorrow morning, and we will talk more about that in just a moment. First, though, let's focus on the afternoon. Once we do break out of this fog, you should anticipate partly to mostly cloudy skies overhead today. Highs in the Tri-Cities, I believe, will crest in the upper 40s today. Look for upper 40s in the Yakima Valley, mid to upper 40s in the Kittitas Valley today, with daytime highs likely staying in the upper 40s for the Blue Mountain foothills, again with partly to mostly cloudy skies overhead. Now, this morning, many of us saw temperatures down to the upper 20s and low 30s, and as we go into your overnight hours tonight into very early tomorrow morning, we will see a similar scenario taking place. Upper 20s to low 30s for a vast majority of the inland northwest. And as I already referenced, we are going to see some more dense fog overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Be advised that when we're talking about temperatures this cold plus the fog, that is freezing fog, which could make roadways pretty slippery. That is something to certainly consider on Saturday morning. Now let's just jump into what has everybody buzzing, and that is precipitation chances as we go through the next week. First, let's stop on Sunday. After calm weather conditions today and tomorrow, there is going to be a storm system that slides through the Pacific Northwest on Sunday. Thanks in part to the rain shadow, most of us are going to be staying dry on Sunday. A slight chance of showers will exist region-wide, but the best shower opportunities on Sunday will certainly be confined to the Blue Mountains and adjacent foothills. Monday and Tuesday will primarily be calm too, but it is as we go from Tuesday night into very early Wednesday morning. Cold temperatures are going to be in place, and there is going to be an influx of precipitation. That's going to open up the door maybe for some light snow, if not rain and snow, early Wednesday morning. Accumulations at this point look to stay very minimal, if any accumulation, so I wouldn't be too concerned in that regard. Just if you wake up on Wednesday morning and maybe see some snowflakes falling outside your window, at this point, that is not out of the question. I only want to highlight this because if you start to see that snowflake icon on some of your weather maps, or on some of your weather icons, beg your pardon, that could be what they are picking up on. Now, by Wednesday afternoon, we will see a transition to all just regular rainfall. And then as we go into Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, it does look like we are going to be looking at a pretty soggy Thanksgiving 2025. Now, of course, this is almost a week away. This time period is nearly a week away. Weather models are certainly going to change, but with the active weather that potentially could be on the way right as we get towards the holiday, that's why I'm highlighting it now. Jake Stevenson will continue to track this through the weekend on our newscasts, and of course, we will have it as we go through next week too. But for right now, I'm going to toss it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. On to some cool local news. Former Junior MasterChef contestant Asher Niles recently won one of the biggest barbecue showdowns in the world. KMA's Ty Therian has more on the young Yakima chef's accomplishment.
Asher, otherwise known as the Fat Pastor Jr., took home the win just a year after his Junior MasterChef loss. Asher made the perfect tomahawk steak to win over the judges. He competed in the kids portion of the Texas Open Meat Barbecue Showdown. Asher explained to me how he created this dish.
A Australian gold Wagyu tomahawk. It's from Ligma Provisions, and I did a Wagyu whipped cream. I did a cold charred pumpkin, which I cooked in the coals with some stuff in it. I did some goat cheese, some butter, and then my dad's little Tigre blend, which is a South American blend. And I did a cherry bourbon sauce that I flambéed.
One of the most challenging parts for Asher was not being able to use any electricity. The competition was open fire, meaning that no electricity could be used whatsoever. Luckily for Asher, this wasn't a problem because he's worked with open fire thanks to his dad. Asher won in more than just one way. He also won the approval of a very prominent figure.
The vice president of Memphis in May, again, the biggest barbecue competition in the world, he couldn't stop raving about Asher and said that he's taken the pictures of what he cooked and talked about what he cooked all throughout the country. In fact, Asher was even invited to cook at Memphis in May this year in the kids' competition.
Asher's dad spoke on the confidence that Asher has grown into as a chef. He couldn't be more proud of his son.
I think the biggest thing for me is just being able to see him step up there with such confidence. I've never seen him cook with that much confidence, especially being the youngest one there. He was going up against kids who had already won big prizes and big levels. And so for him to be able to go through all of that.
Asher's dish was so amazing that judges said that he was better than 95% of the adult contestants. Reporting for KMA Action News, I'm Ty Therian.
Ty Therian, thank you. And speaking of food, a local church will be providing hundreds of families with a Thanksgiving meal. And KMA's John Franklin met with the organizers yesterday, tells us about their efforts.
The volunteers at our church are putting together blessing boxes, which are going to be Thanksgiving dinners for families in our community who are in need.
This year, Stone Church of Yakima will be giving out a combined total of 875 boxes filled with ingredients for Thanksgiving dinner, providing thousands with a traditional meal.
We kind of have it as a first come, first serve basis. And so, the word gets out and any family who is in need of a Thanksgiving meal can come by.
In every box, there's some corn, some green beans, some cranberry sauce, along with some mashed potatoes. And you can't forget the turkey.
I think every single year as the holidays approach, people start to get nervous and wonder how they're going to be able to do it. And there has never been a lack of need in any of the years that we've done it. But we have felt more so this year than any other year, for a variety of reasons that there is a higher need. Our office has already been inundated with phone calls of people who are hoping to be able to get a box. And so we're really thankful to be able to do that.
Over 200 volunteers from the church will help assemble and distribute the boxes, proving that sometimes it does take a village.
It's an incredible thing to see. I mean, there are families that have signed up for Blessing Box Day every single year for years. And I've got pictures of my kids when they were, teeny tiny, putting cans of corn in a box. And it's really become a tradition at this point. And so it's incredible because we get to see our people love big.
For Action News, I'm John Franklin.
John Franklin, thank you. And if you would like to pick up a box, you can reach the church by phone. They'll be sharing when they'll be handing out the boxes this weekend. And with just 1 week until Thanksgiving, local nonprofits are doing all they can to help those in need. Sue's Turkey Drive has been helping provide Thanksgiving meals for the last 5 years. And since starting, they've expanded their operations exponentially. With that growth, organizers explain why they keep coming back.
The difference we make in the community, the fact that we know we can sit down at our Thanksgiving meals because we're blessed enough to be able to do that, and there's families out there that aren't, but we can do that blessing of making sure that they do have that meal so they can celebrate a Thanksgiving meal at the same time we do.
Now, $80,000 in donations from the community and 250 volunteers are helping this year alone. They're set to distribute more than 3,000 meals into the community. And happening this weekend, the Yakima Symphony Orchestra is holding their latest concert in the Let's Dance season with the show titled From the Danube to the Moldau being performed at the Capitol Theater. The concert will feature music from Strauss, Mozart, Smetana, and legendary American composer Duke Ellington. KIMA's John Kennedy went along to the Symphony's music library to meet Yurin Kim, the featured pianist, in Saturday's concert to learn more.
Well, I'm standing in the music library for the Yakima Symphony Orchestra. They've got a wonderful selection of music. And I'm joined by Yerin Kim, who is the pianist for this Saturday's concert. Yerin, have you actually played many of these pieces?
No, I don't know what's in here. It looks pretty.
It does.
It looks remarkably well organized.
And very intriguing. But we're here to talk about this Saturday's concert, which features 4 different pieces of music, from the Danube to the Moldau. They're going to feature Jean-Baptiste Strauss's On the Beautiful Blue Danube, Wolfgang Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 20, Duke Ellington and the River. And that slightly surprised me, because I always think of Duke Ellington as big band and jazz, and then Bedřich Smetana's The Moldau. Sounds like a great program.
I think it's a fantastic program. It's colorful. There's a lot of variety. So I think if you're coming for one piece, I think you'll be in this, for a surprise. And the piece that I'm playing is the Mozart Piano Concerto in D minor. It was premiered by Mozart himself. It was, composed in Vienna, and it's, I think, arguably one of my favorite piano concertos written by Mozart. So I'm very excited to share with my audience here.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing you very, very much. And of course, the whole theme of this Saturday's concert is the river, water, music.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's water. It's beautiful. There's a flow to it, I think. And, actually, when I saw the whole program, it made me immediately think, oh, what would I wear? Because I think the visual and the sound inspiration will all tie in very nicely. And I'm hoping that the Mozart, the texture and what you will hear will fit in with the program that our director, Lawrence, put together so beautifully.
Well, we're looking very much forward to the concert. Thank you very much for meeting us today, Yerin, and good luck for Saturday. We'll look forward to hearing the concert. And the concert is actually Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Capitol Theatre.
John Kennedy, thank you. From the Danube to the Moldau, featuring pianist Yerin Kim under the baton of Lawrence Golan, is at the Capitol Theatre this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. with a pre-concert concert talk at 6:25 for all the ticket holders. Tickets start at $19 and are available online and at capitoltheater.org and at the box office. Finally, a local citizen is being recognized for stepping in after a woman was threatened at knife point when a homeless man tried to steal her car in October. The Walla Walla Sheriff's Office and City Council presented a letter of recognition last night to Francisco Chavez, saying in part, quote, without hesitation and regard for his own safety, Mr. Chavez confronted an armed attacker, creating life-saving distance between the victim and the assailant, preventing further harm. His actions reflect the highest values of courage, civic duty, and compassion. Police Chief Chris Butis also presented Francisco with a plaque, which spoke about his bravery and offered him the opportunity to apply for a position at the police department. But that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites at Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.